Right, I'm going to go through question 1 from our textbook. I'm on page 277 if you want to open it up and have a look, because I'm not going to draw all the pictures. So the first thing I'm going to do is factorize it like it asked us to. I'm just going to show you an easier version of that to remind you. So if I have something like this is a quadratic because that means the highest power is a squared. Which means, generally speaking, we factorize it like this with 2 sets of brackets. And remember, we're looking for 2 numbers that add to the middle term and multiply to the last term. So hopefully you can see that those 2 numbers are 2 and 5. 2 plus 5 is 7, 2 times 5 is 10. Now, the problem with factorizing this one is we have a 5 in front of the x squared, which makes our lives a little bit more annoying because it means it doesn't quite work as well. We need to have a 5x and an x. Because when we re-expand, remember, FOIL is the acronym we use to expand this, and you end up with this again if you did. If we expand this, we get 5x squared again. Now, the problem is we can't add to the middle term because this messes us up, but we can still multiply to the last term. Now, the good thing about this is it gives us some information. We know one number is positive and one number is negative because it has to multiply to a negative number. And 57 doesn't have a lot of factors. We have 57 and 1, or we have 19 and 3. So we don't have a lot of options. I'm going to make an assumption that it's 19 and 3 rather than 57 and 1 because those 2 numbers are very far apart and are unlikely to help us get to 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my numbers and just show you that it works. If you weren't sure, you could play around with it and test them. So if we used our FOIL acronym to test it, we would have 5x squared, then the outside minus 15x, the inside plus 19x, and the outside minus 57. And you can see that these 2 are going to combine to give us 4x, which is what we wanted. Right, so this is our answer. I just wrote out extra stuff to prove my point, but this, oops, it's not going to let me do that. This is our factorized version. That's what they were asking us to do. All right, we're going to need this later. So they make us do it at the start because it's needed a bit later on. All right, I'm going to get rid of this so I can do part B. So now the good thing about B is it actually gives us the answers. It's just telling us to prove that this is true. So for part B, it tells us what the area of shape A is, and they're just asking us to show that. So we know that a rectangle is length times width, and they've given us the length, 3x plus 7, and the width is 2x plus 1. So they're asking us, oh gosh, this is getting annoying. They're asking us to multiply out using FOIL and show them that the answer is what they said it is. So the good thing is if we mess it up, we're going to know. So again, we're doing FOIL, so 6x squared, outside plus 3x, inside plus 14x, last plus 7. Then if we combine our like terms, we get 17x, and that is what they told us it would be, which is excellent news. Part 2 is telling us to do exactly the same thing with shape B. Shape B is a little different. It's a square. So if one side is x plus 8, that's the area of the square, but they've got a bit missing in the middle, right? And it's, oh my gosh, I hate this thing. So it's 3 times x, right? One side is 3, 1 times is x. Hopefully you're looking at the picture so you know what I'm talking about. Now remember, this means there are 2 brackets, right? There are 2 of these. Oh my gosh, stop doing that. And I have to FOIL them and expand my brackets. So I'm going to quickly do the cheats version because I want to. 16x plus 64 minus 3x, right? Remember, these 2 numbers add to the middle term, multiply to the last term. So I'm just skipping a step. And I've got to combine my x's. So I have x squared plus 13x plus 64. Now, that is amazingly what they gave us. So in part 3, what they're asking us to do is say that, well, we're going to get the answer to part A again, aren't we? Because what they told us earlier in the question is shape A, which is this one. Let me just get a different color. So this is shape A and this is shape B. these two shapes have an equal area. So this is equal to this. That's what they told us. So I'm going to write an equation where they're equal to each other. 6x squared plus 17x plus 7 equals this version. X squared plus 13x plus 64. Now I'm going to get all my like terms on the same side of the equal sign. So 6x squared, I'm going to bring this across as a minus x squared. Then I have 17x and I'm going to subtract 13x. Then I have 7 and I'm going to subtract 64. So then you end up with 5x squared plus 4x minus 57. And this is the original equation they gave us all the way at the start. So if I do part 4, we've already done part 4. Well, we've already done most of it. We've already factorized this, right? They're telling us that this is the answer. Or this is the equation, right? And we need to figure out x. There are multiple ways that we can solve for x, but factorizing is one of them. And we already know what it looks like when it's factorized because we've already done that. Now, if you'll remember, if this equals 0, that means that one of these brackets has to equal 0 because anything times 0 is 0. Now, I don't really care about this first bracket because whatever this is, it has to be negative because obviously this has to be negative to make this bracket equal 0, which means I don't care because there's no such thing as negative distance in real life. We're talking about the length of a rectangle here, so I don't really care about this one at all. So I'm going to focus on this one where x is 3 because 3 minus 3 is 0. Now, x is 3, this is positive, that's all I care about. Now, I'm not quite done because what it actually asked me for is the dimensions of the shape of A, and all I've done is find out x. So if I know the length is 3x plus 7, right, 3x plus 7, and I know that x is 3, this is 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 7 is 16. So that means that the length is 16, and 2x plus 1 was the width. So 2 times 3 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7. So the dimensions of my shape are 16 centimeters and 7 centimeters. And that is question 1.